We're investigating as a homicide, yes.
Sheriff's Department homicide detectives spent most of the evening up here at the Storm Mountain campground looking for clues. Then some of them headed off to Salt Lake Valley to talk to people who knew Maurine Hunsaker.
We'll go from there to pick those 3 people up.
Mrs. Hunsaker disappeared Sunday night while working at this gas station near her home in Kearns. Several hundred packs of cigarettes were missing. Her husband told authorities that Maurine called just before 11 that night saying she'd been kidnapped but was okay. A hiker found her body tonight.
She was found fully clothed against the mountainside. It doesn't appear that she's been here too long, but again, that's pending right now.
As many as a dozen homicide detectives will continue their investigation in the campground all night long if necessary. Mrs. Hunsaker's body won't be moved until that investigation is complete. Dave Thompson, Eyewitness News in Big Cottonwood Canyon.
It was sometime Monday night or early Tuesday morning that Maurine Hunsaker's murderer led her up the side of this mountain. They left no footprints in the shale stone.
There's no indication of a struggle in any way. Well, her body was laying right here in this location, with her head pointing this direction, her feet downhill. There's an awful lot of concentrated blood in this location. We believe that she was killed right here. There's no doubt in our minds.
Her throat was slashed with a knife, and teams of deputies spent the morning looking for the weapon and any other clues. Detectives won't say what they found. After interviewing her family and friends, the detectives do say they have no real suspects, and they're looking at robbery and kidnapping as a motive. She was not sexually assaulted. Sunday night, $70 and some cigarettes were missing from this gas station, along with Mrs. Hunsaker. About an hour after being taken from here, she was allowed to make a phone call home. And today, investigators are wondering why. There was no ransom demand. Detectives say they feel the murderer was trying to give Maurine Hunsaker a false sense of security. Investigators are now checking on similar crimes committed recently throughout the country. Ironically, it was across this street 20 years ago that 2 of Utah's most notorious criminals were accused of a similar crime. Myron Lance and Walter Kelback abducted a teenage gas station attendant who was found murdered in Summit County. Detectives hope this isn't the start of another crime spree. Tom Walsh, Eyewitness News, Salt Lake City. Sources tell Eyewitness News that the prime suspect is a 28-year-old man who was living in this West Valley residence until last Monday. That's when West Valley police arrested him on a theft charge. Our sources identified the man now being investigated for murder as Ralph L. Menzies. Police first arrested Menzies as a suspect in the robbery of a home improvement center where bolt cutters with Menzies' name on them were found by the store manager. Sources say when Menzies was being booked in the jail, he bolted away from officers and ran into a holding room. Jail employees found the identification of Maurine Hunsaker in the jail on Friday, according to sheriff's detectives. Hunsaker was abducted from this West Valley gas station last Sunday. Her body was found in the Storm Mountain area of Big Cottonwood Canyon the next day. Her throat was slit. Detectives reportedly have a witness who saw a man take a woman into that area on Monday morning and then walk out alone. A composite drawing of a suspect has been made. On Friday night, detectives got a search warrant for Menzies' residence but won't say if evidence was found there. Menzies spent 8 years at the Utah State Prison for aggravated robbery and attempted escape. He was released last year. The county attorney is now considering murder charges. A decision is expected tomorrow. Tom Walsh, Eyewitness News, Salt Lake City.
Menzies is accused of kidnapping and killing Maurine Hunsaker, the West Valley mother who disappeared from this Kearns gasomat February 23rd. Her body was found 3 days later in Big Cottonwood Canyon. Menzies was arrested on a theft charge the day after Mrs. Hunsaker was kidnapped. Jail personnel found identification papers belonging to the victim in one of the holding rooms Menzies occupied. Other items belonging to the victim were found at Menzies' home. Defense attorneys argue today that prosecutors want hair and blood samples as part of a fishing expedition. Judge Paul Grant, though, said it was permissible. Prosecutors say if the tests are positive, they will amend the complaint and add rape to the charges. The preliminary hearing for Menzies was postponed for 60 days to allow time for a mental evaluation.
He'll be looked at by psychiatrists, and their evaluation will depend on what type of defenses could be raised. We can't tell at this point because he hasn't been evaluated, but after he's evaluated, there might be more indication as to what type of defenses will be raised.
A preliminary hearing for the accused killer is scheduled for May 19th. Menzies was on parole from the Utah State Prison when the woman was killed. This is Jack Ford, Eyewitness News at Fifth Circuit Court. The trial, now in its fourth week, has been heated and controversial. There's more than just disagreement. There's open hostility between prosecutor Ernie Jones and defense attorney Brooke Wells. Already, Judge Uno has denied 5 motions for mistrial, and the defense will surely ask again for mistrial after today's developments. The judge excused 2 jurors this morning, a woman unable to continue because of emotional strain, and a male juror who said an anonymous phone caller told him about Ralph Menzies' previous criminal convictions. Alternate jurors replaced the 2 who were excused. Judge Uno then ordered the jury sequestered until the end of the trial. The jurors will be housed in hotel rooms with 24-hour guards until the trial is over, probably next Wednesday or Thursday. In a highly unusual move, Judge Uno ordered the trial closed to the public. He said he'll allow the news media inside the courtroom, but he's locking out everyone else to prevent any possible disruptions. The last time a jury was sequestered was a decade ago during the Congressman Alan Howe's sex solicitation trial. Judge Ray Uno presided over that trial. No one at 3rd District Court can ever remember a trial being closed to the public. Jack Ford, Eyewitness News, 3rd District Court. Holding up pictures of the corpse, prosecutor Rick McDougal said the murder was intentional, not accidental. He recapped the evidence against Menzies, including the victim's fingerprint investigators found on the car he was driving, and the testimony of a former jailmate who said Menzies admitted killing the young mother. He reminded the jury about the victim's personal belongings that investigators found at Menzies' apartment. He asked the jurors to use their logic and deductive reasoning. Pointing to the defendant, he said, "The evidence leaves no room to question who terminated Maurine Hunsaker's life at Storm Mountain on that hillside 2 years ago. The evidence points clearly to Ralph Leroy Menzies." Defense attorney Brooke Wells argued there's no evidence Mrs. Hunsaker was kidnapped. She said an eyewitness saw the woman walking unrestrained at Storm Mountain, and she said officers found no blood on Menzies' coat. If the defense can convince the jury that Mrs. Hunsaker was not kidnapped but left voluntarily, the jury could return a verdict of second-degree murder. In closing, the defense attorney said, "Do not allow the state to extract more than it is entitled by law." Prosecutor Ernie Jones asked how much should this community tolerate as he recounted a life of crime going back nearly 20 years. He said, "How many people have to be injured, maimed, or killed before we say no more?" Jones said Menzies served 8 years in prison for robbery, and the only thing he learned was to make sure he left no witnesses next time. He told Judge Uno there is no therapy for the evil inside Ralph Menzies. During a brief break, Menzies walked past the prosecution table, snarling a few 4-letter words at Ernie Jones. Defense attorney Brooke Wells began her closing expressing regret and sorrow to the family of Maurine Hunsaker. She said Ralph Menzies did not choose to be the person he is today. Referring to his abused childhood, she asked, "Is it appropriate to punish with death the forgotten child, the one who never had the opportunity to develop a conscience?" She asked, "Does murder staged and sanctioned by the state advance the cause of civilized society?" Wells asked Judge Uno to vote for the preservation of life rather than the celebration of death. Prosecutor Ernie Jones had the last word. He said Ralph Menzies imposed the death penalty on Maurine Hunsaker. Jones reminded the judge that Menzies called her murder the biggest thrill of his life. Again, he asked for the death penalty and said, "Society in this community is outraged by Menzies' conduct." Judge Raymond Uno said Menzies will hear his decision on death or life in prison next Wednesday. Jack Ford, Eyewitness News, 3rd District Court. Menzies refused to testify at his trial, but today he stood and told Judge Uno, quote, "I am truly innocent of the charges, even though the jury found me guilty." Reading from a handwritten letter, Menzies expressed sorrow to the family of Maurine Hunsaker, but he denied killing her. He thanked the judge, the court personnel, his defense attorneys, and even prosecutor Rick McDougal, but he did not thank prosecutor Ernie Jones, who he has cursed through the trial. In announcing the sentence, Judge Uno recapped Menzies' life of crime, starting at age 9. He said there is no indication Menzies will ever change, and his greatest concern is for innocent victims in the future. Uno said, "With the heaviest of hearts, this court finds the death penalty is appropriate." The judge asked Menzies his preference for execution, the firing squad, or lethal injection. In a loud, clear voice, Menzies said, "Shoot me." Prosecutor Ernie Jones said he was surprised, but it was the only logical decision Judge Uno could make.
I just think the evidence is overwhelming, and frankly, I don't think Ralph Menzies left the court with any choice in this case except to impose the death penalty.
The victim's husband said the sentence is appropriate.
It's been a long ordeal, and it's just glad it's really over.
Pleased with the verdict?
Yes, I am very much.
Menzies' attorney, of course disappointed, said he deserved better.
I thought his comments in thanking the court and court personnel and his attorneys and other people who helped him were inappropriate and were a good indication that this is not the person that everybody may think he is.
Guards transported Menzies to the Utah State Prison just minutes after Judge Uno sentenced him to death. The judge scheduled a May 20th execution date, but there is an automatic appeal in capital cases, so the execution will be on hold for years. Jack Ford, Eyewitness News, 3rd District Court.